I have nothing but bad things to say about it. Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be doing the finish the book tag. Alright, before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments what is your ritual whenever you finish a book. Alright, so it's the tag. Let's start out with the fact that this tag was originally created by Headless Books, who unfortunately is no longer on booktube, but I was actually tagged by Becca at the Back of Fowl, and I'll put a link to her video in the cards as well as in the description down below. I did do this tag a good few years ago, but I thought it'd be interesting to see how my process has changed, because I feel like it kind of has a little bit at least. But let's dive into the questions and find out. So first up, do you keep a list of the books you've read? Yes, I keep many actually. I have Goodreads and Storygraph. I also have a spreadsheet where I track all of the books that I have finished reading. And then I have a Notion setup where I track all of the books that I finished reading. And then I also do a book journal where I track everything that I read. So yeah, I keep about 5 lists of the books I read. Wow, that's a lot. Next question. What stats do you record? Many. I think it might just be easiest for me to go to my spreadsheet and kind of go through it with y'all. First one, I mark the publisher. Usually I default to whatever the big name publisher is, so one of the major 5, or if it doesn't fall into those, whatever the indie publisher is. Then I have my pages read or hours listened, depending on what format I read the book in. If I did a mix, I tend to default to whichever one I read the book in more. So if I listen to the audiobook more so, I will track the hours listened. If I read the book more so physically, then I will track the pages. Then I keep a reading tracker. What month did I finish the book? What is the main genre for the book? Then I have the intended audience. I have a series tracker, which I really need to work on. Then what format did I read the book in? So audio, ebook, physical, some sort of a mix. The release year of the book, the author's identity, as well as their race, if I can find it. Whether or not I think the book falls into own voices. How did I acquire the book? Whether or not there was a reread. Is this a new author to me? Because I have started to do my author audit at the end of every year. And then what representation was very prevalent in the story. Next question. Do you give star ratings? I do. I think I give star ratings to pretty much everything. I utilize the 𝗖cie system, which is a system that I want to say G at Book Roast was the one who created it, but I might be wrong about that. I'll put a link to the person who did in the description down below. If you're unaware, this is a list of aspects that go into a book, and you rate each of them before averaging them out to get an actual rating. 𝗖cie stands for characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. Most of the time I do a 1 through 10 scale. Sometimes I'll just do a 1 through 5, and then like I said, I average those out, and then from that I will get a rough estimate as to my rating before I give it a final rating. There are some cases where my 𝗖cie may come out to say a 3.5, but I personally liked the book more and decide to bump it to 4-star, or it might come out to a 3.5 and I decide, you know, I don't think that's actually right, and I drop it down to a 3-star. But for the most part, 𝗖cie tends to be pretty reliable for me and does represent my feelings on a book very well. It's pretty rare that I feel the need to alter it a little bit. Basic rundown of my ratings, 0 stars. I can't actually say I've ever given one. 1 star, I hated this book. I don't recommend it to anyone. I have nothing but bad things to say about it. There are very few of those, thankfully, because I don't finish books that I feel that way about. 2 stars usually means it was either okay, it might have some glaring issues that I notice, or it just wasn't really for me. 3 stars also can kind of fall into, I'm not the intended audience here, but I can appreciate it for what it is, / it was a good enough book. I mean, I had a good time with it. I don't regret reading it, but it's not something that's super memorable or I really loved. 4 stars, this was a really solid book. I very much enjoyed my process. I would be willing to continue owning this book. I definitely am going to recommend it to some people. 5 stars, I freaking love this book. It's absolutely staying on my shelves. I need to have a copy of it, and chances are I would be willing to reread it. Next question, do you review books? Hi, I'm Nat. I have a booktube, so yes, I review books. Obviously, I reviewed them on booktube. I try to review every book that I read. Whenever I finish a book, I do actually do my best to try and type up a review in a timely manner. And then whenever I post my monthly wrap-ups or a related video, I will try to post the written review onto Goodreads and Storygraph to be viewed as well. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes I do fall down on that, but I do my best. Next question, where do you put your finished books? Whenever I finish reading a book, I have a stack that I will keep at the top of my owned TBR shelf. And then at the end of the month, after I have talked about those books for my wrap up, I will move them over to these shelves behind me, which are my red own shelf. If I don't want to keep it, then I have a stack down here on the bottom that is unhaul. Next question. How do you pick your next book? Nowadays, I feel like it's usually due to video plans, like what video comes out next that I need to read this book for, or what book club do I have coming up here soon and I need to have the book read for it so I can discuss it. Every once in a while, I do get the opportunity to mood read and just kind of go based on what am I in the mood for, what sounds good at this very moment. It's not super common nowadays because of booktube. I have to have a more structured reading schedule, but every once in a while the mood reading bug just bites me and I have to listen. Next question. Do you have any rituals when you finished a book? I guess I would say putting it up on my shelf and then immediately go to my Notion on my book review page, put in all relevant info, and then from there, before I type out the actual review, I will try to go and enter it into my spreadsheet because that is where I keep my call pile breakdown. Once the call pile breakdown is there, go back to my Notion setup, type out the full review and the actual rating. Then I usually will input it into my journal, mark that book as read on like my TBR, and then if it's relevant to any bingos or list videos I have going on, I will go through and mark it on those, whether those are in my journal or on Canva. I think that's the whole process. Final prompt. Who do you tag? Did not prepare for this. Let's say Sam at Sam Donovan, Kirsten at the Reading Nymph, and then Sash at Sash Reads. I will put links to all of those wonderful ladies in the description down below. Highly recommend giving all of them a follow. All right, and on that note, that is it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a star emoji in the comments. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!